Welcome to the third time behind me right here, returning to Salem's Lot, to this house, in a review for a movie that was supposed to be in theaters, and boy did it feel like it was supposed to be in theaters. According to the director, this was supposed to be as long as the miniseries, but they cut out an hour. Sorry, Derek Mears, you didn't get to appear to more than a photograph in this movie. I'm sure he's pretty disappointed about that, as well as the Derek Mears fans. But maybe one day we'll get a 3-hour version of the Salem's Lot, kind of like we're going to get that 4-hour version of Napoleon that's going to come on Apple iTunes. Because it's sitting there somewhere. They might as well release it, but I digress. This was the third time doing Salem's Lot, fourth if you count a Return to Salem's Lot, which we're never going to talk about because, God, I tried watching that. That is impossible to watch. Jeez. You can watch this. This is a complete film. I enjoyed this movie. I enjoyed the new versions of the way they did the characters, and I didn't hang my hat on anything too bad in this film. Unique, different ending, more of a movie. Some plots obviously are completely dropped from that 3-hour cut. We'll discuss them. One of the plots dropped from the 3-hour cut is what happened to the Marsden house. Not a character in this film anymore. Gone. Like, holy cow. They definitely mine the fields of their HBO catalog of actors, because you could handpick a lot of these actors from other HBO properties or stuff owned by Warner Brothers, like The Boys, or people related to people on The Boys. That was cleared up online. But that, again, it's a watchable film. I was really worried I wasn't going to be able to watch this. Like, it was going to be just an unwatchable film because the reviews have been so mixed about it. But I really enjoyed the new version of Salem's Lot. I don't think it's as great as the others, but it has its merits. Katie, what did you think of 2024 version? Originally for
the 2024 version, I agree with you. I think it has its merits. I think it does have some considerable highlights to it, including performances, the way they bucked up some of the characters. I think the beginning though is incredibly clunky. Because with Salem's Lot, it's all about atmosphere and tension and building up what's coming. And when you show the main antagonist, who's supposed to be like this menacing creature, when you show him in the first 7 minutes, I was like, wait a minute, what? Really? I was like, okay, that's a big miss, because that's supposed to be something that we're leading up to. It's like if you went and saw Jaws and they showed him in the first 7 minutes. It's like, no, it's not, that's not how that works.
Good comparison.
Yeah, I also felt I thought Louis Pullman did a great job as Ben Mears. I wish, though, as you said, the Marsden house is like, as I've said in the reviews before, I felt like Salem's Lot is a movie about a haunted house. It's about this house that then evil is just attracted to it. With this is basically this definitely is just a vampire film, and they mention the Marsden house like maybe 5 times. It definitely looks a lot better than the other versions that we've seen. It actually looks livable, because those other two, it's like, Larry Crockett, no, nay. There's no way you could have rented that or sold that. There's so many things that, even in the 70s or whatever, there things that would have been against the law. But with this one, which was confusing to me, it's a small town. It's 1,200 people. It's less than the other versions, but it's always a town about gossip. I get that. But in this version, it also seemed like no one had any friends that lived in the town and that were from there. One thing that is very significant, Ben Mears and Matt Burke don't know each other until like Ben's been there like maybe 9 days ago. I'm getting from the timeline and how they are looking for one of the Glick boys, and Matt Burke introduces himself to Ben Mears. So there's a really significant part in the film where Matt Burke has someone in his house that he thinks is dead, or he thinks that there's a vampire that's coming to his house. So when I'm watching this and then Matt goes to find Ben, to like, would you come over? It kind of reminded me of the Carly Rae Jepsen song. It's like, hi, I just met you 3 days ago and this is crazy, but I think I've got a vampire in my house. Could you come over maybe? And I'm like, does he not have any friends in this town that he's lived in, like, and works in? Like, that seems really weird because, like, well, Ben's a writer, so he'll be up for this. It's like, will he in 1975? I don't know. That's just really weird. But I gotta tell you, two consistencies with Salem's Lot. One, Susan Norton's mom, always a biatch. Like, I don't know what it is, but man, is she just a major sea bag. 10 years. This one, though, just takes it to the limit. This one, yeah.
Just cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs with that shotgun.
Oh, man. I mean, she's got some issues.
Think about this. She also becomes the new Barlow Renfield kind of character because they do away with a certain character who was that character previously, and now she feels like she's Barlow's extra little. You know, you're going to become my new little human. I tell you what to do, and your daughter will be fine under my thrall.
Yeah, which is also something weird because you would think that Straker would not be all about that since he's supposed to be, you know, the guy in charge. So that to me was a little odd that happened, but it's like, whatever. Another consistency, Mark Petrie's parents or parent always have probably the most horrific deaths in any of these versions. Like, but I gotta say, the kid, Mark Petrie in this one, this kid is a badass mofo, man. I mean, he freaking kills it and he kills people. Like, this guy's got a body count way before all these other adults get involved. And he's freaking like taking charge, like Jordan Preston Carter. Mwah. He honestly is my favorite performance in the film. I have to say, the highlight for me, though, cinematography from Michael Burgess. There are some scenes in here that are just, even from the get-go, like the parking lot scene where they're dropping off Barlow's case into the basement and they use the red of the parking lot. Gorgeous, beautiful, love it. I think that is one of the major highlights of the film. I also like the cross lights, which is like a cross and a flashlight combined together, where if there's a vampire that shows up, it like the cross, like it's a wooden cross, lights up like a giant flashlight. I thought that was kind of cheesy. At the same time, I loved it because it really gave people aware of like, are you a vampire? Are they close? Kind of that thing. The accents I thought were weird. I don't understand why William Sadler as a constable and maybe off and on Alfred Woodard had this northeastern Maine accent, but everybody else didn't. It's like, I don't know if they like, I mean, they're obviously have a huge resume where they like get into character, but when no one else is doing that accent, maybe skip it because it seemed a little weird to me. But I honestly, I felt like, I know they said they had cut out like an hour of the film. I think this would have been better for a miniseries. Obviously, it's a lot of people and a lot of exposition. I just didn't feel like there was like the atmosphere and the substance that we have with any of the other ones. I wasn't scared necessarily. I think there's one jump scare that involves Barlow that didn't seem like it was pretty obvious it was coming. Otherwise, not so much. I do like the way they made the vampires look. I think that was a good look for them. Not necessarily sexy, but that subtle, just glow in the eyes. And I actually liked the ending. I liked the ending where they had that again, Mark Petrie coming out of nowhere, killing a bunch of mofo vampires and, you know, other things. And yeah, he's the VIP for this entire movie, in my opinion. I wouldn't rank this. I don't want to rank it on where I like it compared to the other ones. Again, I think it had a lot of potential. I just think it was like cut to crap because of whatever. I mean, it's seriously, this should have been like 3 hours, and I think I would have liked it more because I mean, there's just so many characters that maybe had one line that are significant in the other films and in the book, and definitely a little. I like how they made the one thing I think that really showed that's 1975 is the one scene that Larry Crockett is in that's that damn 70s misogyny. You know, make sure you don't call the woman an associate. She's definitely a secretary.
No.
And how he's trained her to make that coffee just right. Way to go. That was definitely that. And we're in 1975, everybody. But other than that, I'm hit or miss on the film. I mean, I would say watch it if you love the book, if you like the other things. Again, I think there are a number of highlights to it. There's some inconsistencies. I think the actors, I mean, it's great casting. Bill Camp, Alfre Woodard, Lewis Pullman. There's an actress called Mackenzie Lee who plays Susan Norton. I thought she was great. But again, VIP for me, Jordan Preston Carter. Like, he honestly, I want to see that kid go places because he was fantastic.
Funny thing about him, I love everyone pointing out, and I noticed it too, because I was like, oh, that's cute. Of course it's Warner Brothers. There's the Batman logo. The Batman logo is from the 1989 film. It's the one designed for the 1989 film with the extra little wing, you know, like little pieces in the wing, these little daggers that are at the bottom of the wing and the top of it. And everyone was just like, that's great, but wrong Batman logo. Also, there was no Batman nightlights in the 1970s, but I digress. That was just funny that they pointed out the inconsistency with the logo is from Michael Keaton's film.
I noticed that nightlight. I was like, yeah, I don't think that's right.
No. What's funny
But I was like, you know what?
What do you know about the director?
Yes.
He's the writer of like a ton of the Conjuring films, or also Stephen King's It.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Derek. I mean, again, what they said about Derek Mears is that he was the writer of Swamp Thing, the series. Derek Mears was Swamp Thing, and he obviously got him a job in this film just to have it completely just disappear. Because the one thing I loved about the Rob Lowe version, I thought was great, and the fact that the 70s version never covered it, and it's in the book, is the book behind me, is the fact that they go into details about what happened to Ben as a kid. In this film, in the 70s version, he's just this writer that had a traumatizing event. But in the Rob Lowe version, we actually really delve into the backstory about why it is he wanted to stay in that house so badly. It's just thrown out the window. Maybe we'll get a 3-hour cut. I guarantee it's not going to happen overnight. We might see a disc release for this film one day. Who knows? The other thing I want to point out is the Nosferatu vampire that's used in this film, that Barlow is once again. It comes in droves because in the original film, the Nosferatu vampire replaced the Mockavian-style vampire that we got in the Rob Lowe version. And the reason for that is because the Nosferatu remake had just come out, and they wanted a more terrifying kind of vampire. They didn't want to do the loving, romantic, tragic vampire that, let's say, George, not Harrison, George from Love at First Bite was happening, or
George Hamilton.
George Hamilton, or the one we got in the 1979 version of Dracula with Frank Langella, or Christopher Lee. You know, we just got all these very romantic vampires, and they wanted a pure monster. And this year, we have 2 versions of Nosferatu coming out. We have Doug Jones's version coming on Apple TV after 8 years from Kickstarter. I kickstarted that. My copy's coming. And we also have the Christmas movie Nosferatu by the director of The Witch, which I just saw the newest preview for. It looks absolutely terrifying. I can't wait for that. So, but I digress. Go see this while it's on Max. If you're in the UK, it's apparently in theaters there. It wasn't playing at any theater around me near here. I heard it was playing at one theater in New York. I don't know if that was an official screening or not, but the reasons why this was not released in theaters are unknown. I've looked all over the internet. There is no clear answer from anybody at Warner Brothers why this wasn't released. There is speculation from this person and that person, but otherwise, they say it's a combination of 3 things: COVID-19, the writer's strike, and the change in the management at Warner Brothers is the big 3 reasons, but not any official statement from Warner Brothers. So I digress.
One thing you can definitely tell, and as you mentioned, The Boys, you can definitely tell that this has been on the shelf for a while, because even though the actor who plays Danny Glick is not in The Boys, his brother is. They are identical twins. There's a significant difference in what this film is and what Cameron, his brother, is. Like, I think there's like 3 or 4 years. I mean, you can tell this kid is now a full-fledged teenager in The Boys, and he's like uh basically barely, he looks like he's barely 12 in this or something like that. So that's at least 3 or 4 years difference. And that to me was like, oh yeah, wow, this has been on the shelf for a while. Also, it seems like there was some stuff with Lewis Pullman's hair that sometimes it was longer and sometimes it was shorter, which
Yes.
I noticed. Yeah, I noticed that a few times. I'm like, okay, I get it if you were here for maybe a month or two, but you're only here. This is only maybe 9 days. So, okay.
It was
Pick up
really,
shots.
it was really fun to see whenever they had the town shots. I've lived in all three of the towns that the movie was filmed in: Leominster, Sterling, and Clinton. So throughout the movie, I was pointing out to my girlfriends, that's downtown, that's downtown Leominster. Very easy, having lived in those three towns off and on for several years. Those towns look exactly the same, and that is exactly the reason why it was shot here, because a large part of Massachusetts still has this very 70s, 60s, in certain parts colonial look to them. American something or another years ago with a bunch of actors was filmed in downtown Worcester because it was set in the 70s, and downtown Worcester still looks like the 70s. So
Very cool.
yeah, that was really cool. So a lot of people from Massachusetts have been waiting for this movie to come out because they were extras in the film, plus the town business owners were waiting for their, like, hey, there's my business. So they finally got their due. It was filmed around the same time as the last season of Dexter that they did. It was pretty much filmed simultaneously. Showtime got theirs out on time. This had quite an unfortunate delay. There is supposedly a Stephen King written Salem's Lot story out there. Whether or not King publishes it, we will have to wait and see. Or if it's already been published, we'll have to wait and see if somebody's actually going to adapt it. I know that there's the prequel, like I mentioned before, with Adrian Brody, but that's more about the town and the evil and so on and so forth, less to do with vampires. We're done with Stephen King for a while until Christine comes out from Blumhouse, so we'll have to wait and see.
And speaking of that, there is a scene in the film where you see a little bit of a garage where someone's working on a car, and the car is the exact replica of Christine. So, little
Yes.
wink to that, little wink to King and all that stuff.
And I heard a rumor from somebody that there is a possible Stephen King Transformer collaboration coming out, and I can only think it's possibly Christine as a Decepticon. And I'm like, you know
Interesting.
what? They've been doing that left and right with a lot of things, like Jurassic Park and the Universal Monsters. If there's any Stephen King creation that deserves to be turned into a Transformer, it's Christine as a female evil Decepticon. That would be perfect. I'd buy
That
that.
would be great.
I'd buy that in a heartbeat.
One other thing, when you see Ben going through the town and you see all the townspeople, in their little, like, in the bookstore and in the shop and in a diner, it really reminded me, and I just noticed this when I watched it like a second or third time, but it very much reminded me of kind of like the beginning of Children of the Corn, when you see like this beautiful Americana town, everyone knows each other, doing their thing, obviously, and those people met their demise too. So I kind of like the way they did that, and just to see like how bustling this little town is, even though there aren't that many people, there's always stuff going on.
And one last thing I want to add, I thought was really important with this is the fact that, because yes, they cast a lot of their like Hollywood kind of unknown actors here and there to give us faces that we weren't going to be like, oh, that's just Rob Lowe playing Ben Mears, which was a takeaway from that miniseries. It's Rob Lowe. Is a lot of the people in the cast and the background cast extras looked like people. That TNT miniseries, everyone was beautiful and pretty. This just looked like actual real people, which was really nice. So I really appreciate that. Like I said, it's on HBO Max. Check it out. Check out the other Salem Lot reviews we've done. We've done every one of the films except for the Return of Salem's Lot. They're up here on the Radio Horror YouTube channel. Check out Katie over on her channel, as well as her Facebook page, The Blonde in Front. And we'll be back for whatever the next horror movies we happen to cover is coming up. Smile 2 is coming. But thank you, everyone. Like, subscribe, and comment. And have a happy Halloween, everybody.
Happy Halloween!